Hey, good evening everybody. My name is Adam, and this is going to be a two-part little series here. I got a letter from a girl named Sarah, put a blog posting up on the website, on the colitis site, and I wanted to respond to everybody, to her, but I think everyone can benefit. Anyway, here we go. Hi Adam, she writes, sorry, I've been meaning to write you. I actually wrote her asking how the hell she's doing. I actually have a doctor's appointment, she says, tomorrow, finally with the new doctor since I moved to Bozeman 5 months ago. I'm going to be asking him about 6-MP and what my options are for going off of it, or if he thinks it's really necessary to stay on it. I too was diagnosed with severe colitis. I think I read somewhere that you were. Which I was. My doctor in Missoula basically said I have to stay on it inevitably, so it'll be nice to have a second opinion. I'm going to Borders tonight to look through or buy Breaking the Vicious Cycle. I'm also going to ask my new doctor if he knows anything about it. My last doctor told me on several different occasions that it doesn't matter what you eat, other than if you're in a flare. Foods with C's, etc. aren't good. To me, this is crazy, but that's what he said. I've been sort of a picky eater my whole life, and only within the last few years have I become less picky. So I'm a little worried about whether or not I could even do the specific carbohydrate diet. I don't even know what types of foods it allows you to eat, but how do you have dinner with your wife or go out to eat on such a specific diet? Do you feel like it controls your life? She writes, I love food. I don't know what I'm willing to give up. And if you can't have cheese, then there's no way I can do it. I mean, who doesn't love cheese? Sarah says. On another note, you've traveled many places. Before you were diagnosed, did you travel somewhere and get sick? Because that's something that happened to me 7 or 8 months before I was diagnosed. And there were also several other people who experienced the same thing that commented on my blog post. I just find this really interesting. I do too. Have you traveled anywhere since you've been on the diet? How easy is it to do when you're not at home? Whether it's just another city or even another country. So Sarah, I'm going to try to give you some quick answers here. Let's see, first off, I don't know what types of food it allows you to eat. But how do you go to dinner with your wife on such a specific diet? Well, we don't go to dinner that often, but when we do, it's not too hard. You know, I look through the menu. If it's, for example, at like an Italian restaurant, well, I'm not eating the pizzas there. I'm not eating the pastas there. I can't eat that stuff, grains and so forth. So I'm usually looking for some type of salad, maybe like a chicken Caesar salad with no croutons, something like that, or maybe some kind of meat dish with vegetables. But it's not impossible to do. If you're at a restaurant and they happen to have things that are gluten-free, that's a good place to start to look. And you can kind of narrow down from there if those things are going to work out once you know a little bit more of the rules of the SCD diet. But I don't feel like I'm trapped. I pretty much avoid Chinese restaurants. Most of the things that I used to like at Chinese restaurants are not something that I can really eat anymore. And, you know, in general, yeah, I do avoid Italian restaurants for the most part, but it's not impossible. So do I feel like it controls my life? No, it's not like this thing that's got me on handcuffed down and so forth. It's a big part of my life, but it's not controlling or running my life, no. I don't know what I'm going to give up, but if you can't have cheese, then there's no way. Well, you know what? There are certain cheeses that you can have. Not every cheese, but once you've kind of progressed with the diet, and you've got things in place as far as your insides, and you'll know when you do, you start pooping normal poops, there's some cheese that you can't have. So, yeah, I think there is a way. You know, believe me, I used to love eating pizza. Ate that stuff all the time. I worked at 3 different pizza places. Gumby's out in Boulder, Colorado. What's up, Gumby's? Pizza Chicago here in Palo Alto, and another place, but I don't eat pizza anymore. I tried anyway, no, I don't do that. Traveling. Before you were diagnosed, did you travel somewhere and get sick? Interesting question. I actually was living with my wife in the Czech Republic for about a year. Came back here. That's when I was diagnosed, but I did have symptoms well before going over to the Czech Republic. Had symptoms for years. So I don't really think there's any traveling that caused my UC, but I definitely think that's interesting, and I'm really interested actually in people that do go to travel places and get stomachs upset, travelers, diarrhea, and so forth. Mostly interested to know if they were given antibiotics to treat that and then afterwards got UC. That's, I guess, my question for people that have that story. And traveling in general on this diet, yeah, it is interesting. You know, if you're traveling and you're going through towns on the highways, let's say car traveling, and you're stopping at fast food restaurants, yeah, you gotta be pretty careful. There's some things you can do, you know, salads, chicken salads and so forth at some restaurants that'll help you out. But loading up on French fries, buns, you know, burgers and so forth, typical sandwiches at these fast food places, it's not gonna work. So you gotta try to stay away from stuff like that. But again, it is possible. If there's grocery stores, there's things you can buy at every grocery store that's gonna work on this diet. And that's things that you need to maybe look out to start doing. It's healthier too, and potentially quite a bit cheaper. So, I don't know, there's certain countries that I think would be relatively, you know, somewhat easier to travel to. Down in Argentina, for example. I was down there a while ago. They do a lot of meats and vegetables and so forth, dishes that are relatively basic. And you stay away from the breads and so forth, but you can eat up all the meats they got. It's dirt cheap. And vegetable stuff like that, it's going to work with the diet. Going to places like Italy, where you're going to be seeing pastas and pizzas, for example, well, you might have to get a little bit more creative. That's the same thing at the Italian restaurants around here. I'm not trying to badmouth Italian restaurants. I'm just saying that I really don't go to them too much anymore, because in the past when I was going to Italian places, I was chowing on pizza. I don't do that. So, it's not impossible to do. And thank you so much for part A. There's going to be a part B. It's going to be another video. I had to go have some dinner with my wife, and we'll get to the next questions. It's about, you know, growing up, being in your 20s, drinking alcohol with your friends. Sarah's got a bunch of really good questions that, well, I've been through the thinking process on that, and I'll give you my answers. Thank you. Yeah.